Bang the drums. Penn State is 1-0 and ready for their home opener.
You just focus on that one play you're in and try to execute at the highest level, the outcome's going to be good.
The message is clear. Get ready to go in. The Nittany Lions are determined to build depth.
Something we're looking at. We'll see how it plays out.
And our Impact interview lays down the law. Fox News host and lawyer Emily Compagno is a huge football fan.
Just for love of the game, right? That football has added a color to my life that is frankly irreplaceable.
And the game this weekend pits the Nittany Lions against the Bobcats. Get suited up. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski, along with our coaches, Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. All right, it's the home opener. The team is going to take the field at Beaver Stadium for the first time this season. What is that feeling like, guys? Describe it, the emotions as you're walking out through the tunnel.
Well, it's always fun when you get that first home game. It's a little bit skewed because you already played, so you know a little bit. But when you open at home, your family's there, everybody's there, your students are there. It's a whole different vibe.
But there's nothing better than coming out of that tunnel.
Yeah.
There's nothing better. That's the greatest feeling.
You can hear the roar. It's about to start, and then you guys hit the field, and it's awesome. So, and of course, it's always nice, like you said, Jay, when you're 1-0 before you even play at home. We talk some more about the Purdue game and how it affects this game against Ohio in our opening drive. All right, Coach Franklin says the past 2 years brought to light an issue with overall depth, and he's determined to build it with game experience for as many players as possible. How do you do that?
Well, you got to rotate people in, but you got to have faith that the people you rotate in a game like Purdue aren't going to create, the kind of mistakes that cost you a game.
And then you want to continue it this week and keep going because you're either going to get better or you get worse, right? And the second game, you're going to really you should see your most improvement from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, and they're over 20-point favorite. You can't take Ohio for granted, but you want to do that. You look for opportunities early, I guess, guys, to get them in the rotation and get them that experience that you want.
Yeah, and I think hopefully you come out of the gates guns blazing and you get ahead and you feel a little more comfortable rotating guys in early in the game when the game still is in flux. But again, Ohio U's going to come in. They got scholarship players. They're not here to be a scrimmage.
No, they're not.
All right. Well, it's not as easy as it sounds to accomplish. When the opportunity presents itself, you're going to see a lot of changes in the lineup.
I think what we've tried to do is hopefully play in a way in some games that allows you to get guys on the field. But it always doesn't play out that way. So being strategic the best we can to put all of our players at every position in position to gain that valuable game experience. So it's something we're looking at. We'll see how it plays out.
So let's take the depth issue and focus on one position, the position everyone talks about, Jay, and that's the quarterback.
He left the game. Drew Aller comes in and does pretty well. But I think hopefully you have more and more opportunities to play those guys behind him as the season goes. And because, again, he's had health problems. So you have to have somebody ready to go.
Yeah, and as we take a look at some of Drew Aller's video, I thought he did pretty well in his time out there. Tom, what are you looking for when you see a young quarterback get in there?
Well, I thought he was very poised and comfortable. I didn't see any panic in him. I don't think he was anticipating playing in the first game that early. But he had the opportunity, and I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah, and all 4 scholarship quarterbacks traveled to Purdue. The other guys have their finger on the pulse of what's being said about the quarterbacks, and this offense is firmly behind their veteran.
Kind of one of those things, man, where it's like in the media you see you see him getting a lot of backlash or whatever, but we know him, especially as an offense, as a team, we know that we have major confidence in that guy.
Yeah, his experience comes in handy when you have 3 tough road tests in the first 6 weeks. And it's the defensive debut for the new coordinator, Manny Diaz. Your impressions, Tom, as you watched a pretty aggressive approach?
I think they had to be aggressive. He did an excellent job, especially in a lot of his zone blitzes. I thought he came a lot of different ways, brought the corner fire, come off the edge with it, did a good job setting it up. And when, they had the secondary played well. They made him look good.
Yeah, as you watch some of the video, you're going to see the secondary flying all over the place for the game. And Jay, that brings up the pressure on the front seven, right? It's kind of built a little bit different. They have a lot of guys, a lot of veterans, a lot of talent in the secondary. They're going to have to rely on that front seven to grow up pretty quick.
Yeah, they're going to have to do a better job getting the quarterback. I thought they could have improved on that, because if you don't get there, you're going to have some real pressure on those guys to cover for a long time. And I think the linebackers are going to be the thing to watch this week and the weeks to come. How do they do in the run game as well as in the pass game? Because I think Purdue didn't go after them as much as maybe they could have.
All right, so we need to talk about one other thing. Of course, the sport continues to evolve at warp speed, guys. Another huge change to the college football landscape with unanimous approval from the College Football Playoffs Board of Managers. We're going to 12 teams in 2026, if not sooner. Quick thought.
I would bet it's sooner. The one group they didn't consult in this are the players, and I think that's going to be one of the things that happened. The players said, we're playing 4 more games.
Yeah.
That's got to be a shootout.
Yeah.
Ironed out.
Going to 12.
It's going to be interesting. That's a lot of games.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's hit to the scrap metal. Tom, you always talk about those hidden yards. Well, the Nittany Lions find them all night long against the Boilermakers.
Especially in game 1. To me, one of the things that nobody talked about this whole week was the play of all the special teams. The kickers, they were excellent. Okay, the punters were excellent. The kickoff coverage was good. You just saw some of the games that other people got to watch on Saturday. You're like, whoa. Like, there's crazy things happen on special teams, usually early in the season. But they were spot on this game.
Yeah, they were really sharp. And the new punter says it's one for all and all for one.
The biggest thing, we came out on the field today and it was like, listen, we knew we're not all going to be perfect. Obviously, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's going to have issues here and there. And how are you going to rebound and just have everyone's back? You know, when people make a great play, celebrate with them. When people don't make a great play, let's make sure we're all there with each other and supporting one another.
Yeah, they put Barney on scholarship right before the season. Now he earns the scrap medal with his kick team. Life is good. Still to come, the Nittany Lions are 24-point favorites against the Bobcats. Plenty to work on after week 1. A little self-scouting report is coming up as Penn State gets ready to take the field at Beaver Stadium. You're watching Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by the We Are Inn, voted #1 game day restaurant in Center County. Follow us on Facebook and visit theweareinn.com or call for dinner or room reservations.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. You know, Tom is always eloquent when he makes a point here on the show, but he's mentioned several times that you typically see the most improvement in a football team from week 1 to week 2. Now, the Nittany Lions are in that very situation this weekend for the home opener against Ohio. Let's send it over to Coach Paterno and Coach Bradley for more of a self-scouting report. What areas do you think we're going to see an adjustment or two, and where is it going to be more of the same? Because they're off to a good start, guys.
Well, Todd, thanks. We'll talk a little bit about things that people ask about with between game 1 and 2 and things that may have been different. But let's talk about Penn State's offense first, because there's some good, some bad things to talk about. So let's talk about the run game, Tom. One of the things that I think you noticed was Penn State was under center a lot more last week than they were last year. Now, that may be something that was just specific to this game or not, but some of the advantages of being under center is when you're in the run game, under center, your tailback shoulders are parallel, and they are looking north and south, and allows them, when this left guard gets knocked back, to make the cut behind, Tom.
You get your shoulders square, you can make a lot of cuts. Make sure you know if your tailback's right foot dominant or left foot dominant. But these guys right here, now plus the play action pass.
Yeah, it does set it up. Now take a look at what happens when you get in the gun. Now with him offset like this, now when he gets the ball, just notice his shoulders are more at an angle than they are from under center. Now you can put him behind him in the gun here, but again, his shoulders are at an angle, and again, penetration here. Now he can't make that cut back behind, and when you see the video, you'll see what happens. He's forced to the front side where the middle linebacker can make
his
the play.
vision's not as good either. The vision's not the same. He doesn't see the whole field.
Now, when you get to the under center stuff, now your play action pass, now I got to walk over here, your play action pass is much better because you get a hard fake. And Tom, you know what you teach linebackers, as long as that quarterback is in front of them, they stay.
Don't leave where you're supposed to go. You're not playing pass yet. You So that guy clears.
Yeah, and this is a big 4th and 2. When you take a look at the video, this is a big play in the game. It led to a touchdown, which put Penn State up 7-3. Great design, same personnel. Now, only 1 sack Thursday night, but they got to defend the launch point. Purdue was still able to make Sean Clifford move off the launch point. And you'll see with this pressure here and this guy coming underneath, he has to reset his feet not once, but twice, and that affects the accuracy of throw. So take a look at the video. You can see here, he's back there, that spot where he's supposed to be. He steps up. Now he steps his right in time. You know that's the whole goal of pass rush.
No question about it, because now he takes his eyes off where?
Downfield.
Downfield.
Now, let's talk about the blitz from the edge. Here's a corner blitz, Tom. Talk about the problems over here.
Well, you get the corner fire. Now, a couple things is this is obviously a college, but in the pros, you don't get this because of the hash marks. Here, it's a shorter distance to go. They're trying to make this ball come out of here hot. They want to throw it out of here hot. Let's pick it up and tackle the guy and get off the field. Okay?
Yeah, let's take a look at how this unfolds. You'll see the ball comes out of here. The corner comes, even though he's free, he gets it out and throws it down the sideline. And one of the things they're trying to do is get you to make the hard throw. Same thing, now they blitz off the edge. Now this guy plays here, and you're going to see, again, on this video where they force him to throw the ball. So take a look at the video on this one. And again, you see that receiver's got to release outside. He's throwing in that gap, and he's not able to make that throw. Now, we talked about some fan interaction. We've got some questions for you guys. So some of the viewers have sent us some burning Penn State questions following the win. First one is for Coach Bradley. Mark is asking, along with Coach John Bove, who do you think is our best defensive backs coach?
I'm only going to talk about the guys that I work with. So let's talk right off the bat with Ron Dickerson. Ron was with us that day. We had 19 different coverages against when we played Miami in the Fiesta Bowl. 5 picks that night. Okay, guys are very aggressive tacklers. Ron had guys flying all over the place. And that night, we didn't have a DB over 5'10".
Yeah, pretty good secondary that night against Miami. And then Charles is asking, how good will Penn State's offensive line be? And I'll take that one. I think they've got a chance to get a lot better. I think they made some improvement, but again, the run game and pass protection are going to be critical for this season. So, Todd, a little bit of wrap up there in terms of what we saw last Saturday. Some fan questions. Back over to you. A busy moment here, a busy day in the scouting report.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the show. I just stand here and absorb all of the football knowledge. Thanks a lot, fellas. And we discussed it earlier. The ultimate goal of recruiting, coaching, playing, and then the self-scouting is to excel to a level that qualifies the team for the college football playoff at the end of the season. Easier said than done. In a few years, it's going to be easier than it is now as the CFP expands from 4 to 12 teams. And Coach Franklin was asked about the expansion earlier this week.
Obviously, always the discussion about teams, maybe that aren't Power 5, schools that had great years but are left out, or a situation like us where we won the Big Ten championship, arguably top 2 conferences, if not the best conference in all of college football, and be left out. I think it helps resolve and solve some of those issues. But I think in general, I think it's a positive.
Yeah, no doubt the Rose Bowl squad would have qualified. The playoff will be in place by 2026. The hope is that it will start even earlier, perhaps as soon as 2024. And time to take a break. When we come back, our Impact interview. Emily Compagno joins us next to talk about how football has impacted her life and her alma mater possibly joining the Big Ten. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
We are back on Nittany Game Week. Time for our Impact interview, and she is a host at Fox News on the popular program Outnumbered, a graduate of the University of Washington. She continued her education to earn a law degree at the University of San Francisco, started her career as a defense attorney while also serving as the captain of the Oakland Raiders cheerleaders. All this to say, Emily Compagno is smarter and better looking than all 3 of us combined. Emily, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. I disagree with that. But thank you so much, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. Such an honor to join you all. And as I was telling you just before we started, I have a lot of Penn State fan friends a lot of Pennsylvania friends who are so excited about this and definitely are more excited about this moment that we are having with each other than anything I have done in the past. So just know that you guys have a really robust following, and it's an honor for me to join tonight.
Well, awesome. We really appreciate it. And look, this is our impact interview. So I know you've done a lot of things in the past internationally with your NFL experience. Tell us how the game of football has impacted your life and allowed you the opportunity to reach others.
Well, I will say, first and foremost, just for love of the game, right, that football has added a color to my life that is frankly irreplaceable and really unique, right? And that's why we all love it. And then formally, being part of the Oakland Raiders, I had an incredible experience cheering. And I think my greatest takeaway and the greatest root of my experience there was that ambassadorial position that I held, being the face of the franchise for the community. And sometimes in my interactions, or really mostly in our interactions, that might be the only time that fan has a direct link to the franchise. And so to serve in that position was really important for me. And we did so many charities and appearances and school visits throughout then Northern California. We flew to other states as well and around the country. And especially service to the troops for me was the most significant, most important part of my position. I'm a huge patriot, as you guys know. I know you are too. And being able to travel to Kuwait and Iraq and visit the troops there for almost 2 weeks in country, that was truly the honor of a lifetime, to show them that we never stopped thinking about them. We never stopped supporting them at all times, thanking them for their service. And also, again, having that representation behind me, that knowing that I was repping Oakland Raiders overseas to the troops. It's really the most special experience I've ever had.
So, Emily, during your time with the Raiders, their CEO was Amy Trask, really a trailblazer in football. So, as you look at football now, the role of women in the sport is changing dramatically, from scouting to coaching to administration and other roles. How exciting has it been to see the expansion of those roles for women?
Really exciting. I'll never forget. Actually, after when I made auditions for Raiders, and one of our first nights there, we all watched this video together in the theater at the Raiders franchise. I hope I'm not letting out a state secret. But it was this amazing video that showed the clips from the beginning, the inception of the franchise, really sort of detailed the history, the kind of short film that gives you goosebumps. And Amy came in and she spoke to us, and she had such an impact on me in that night. And I was just thinking, like, what an incredible woman this is. What a trailblazer, to your point. This is someone who has thrived in this position that no other woman at that time held. And she did it first. And the reason that she did it was because she earned it, was because she was the best human for that job. And I think that's also my biggest takeaway in terms of that question, to see the expansion in these roles. It's not because they're women, it's because winning is winning, right? Yep. And we're all winning if the best person for the job, the smartest analytics major, the biggest data head joins the Oakland A's or the Las Vegas Raiders or Penn State or whatever. You want the best minds on board. And so I see that as what is most encouraging.
Emily, Tom Bradley, you were born in Oakland, so now that the Raiders are in Las Vegas, do you still feel loyalty to them, or is it more complicated for you?
Oh, hey, Tom, I'm ride or die. You know that. Half of me bleeds purple and gold, and the other half is silver and black. I think as someone who grew up in that community, it's obviously disappointing that I felt that geographically, and the local politicians and local lawmakers couldn't get it together enough to retain the team and to provide them the kind of home that they deserve. But the health of the franchise, I see, is thriving in Las Vegas. It is an incredible stadium. The Raiderettes just celebrated our 60th anniversary of being the cheerleaders. We're the oldest cheerleading squad in the NFL, and that was an exceptional experience, celebrating not only the franchise but its new home in Las Vegas. And I was just blown away by how amazing it is there. So I know a lot of people have conflicting emotions. I don't. I'm ride or die. But I will say that half of my family has now dropped off, and they're pretty upset about it. But I think it's a testament to the strength, frankly, of Raider Nation that most fans did stay with the franchise, and we've certainly picked up a bunch of new ones there in the Las Vegas area. I'm all for it, because when we were there for that game, it was the Vikings game, it was filled. I mean, people still pilgrimage in just like they used to do for Oakland. So for me, it's a positive move, but a little bittersweet, yes.
Hang with us for a minute. We're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. We will continue our interview with Emily, so if you want to see the entire conversation, make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire interview, along with other web-exclusive content. And speaking of sharing on social media, when we come back, we'll show you how to share your Penn State Pride pics with us and share some of the submissions we've already received. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week. Now, we took a ride on the world's largest mascot last week, the Boilermaker Special. This week, we give you the world's largest bass drum. It certainly stands out in the Purdue band. Well, the Bobcats are prohibitive underdogs. They can be dangerous. Give us some players to watch, guys, for this week.
Tom, let's talk offense. They
Right off the get-go, it's going to almost be a repeat of last week. You got a heck of a quarterback, two pretty darn good wide receivers. They like to throw it around.
And defensively, you got defensive ends who can get after it. They had a bunch of sacks last year. They got a linebacker to watch out, and their safety had 15 tackles last week. He's very, very active.
Okay, and Jay, you got some other news to tell our viewers.
Yeah, this year we got the Pride Pick Playoffs. So go to NittanyGameWeek.com. Give us your Pride picks from your tailgates or where you watch the game. At the end of the year, we're going to fan voting, and the winner will get a cruise for two to Bermuda on the Happy Valley Cruise. So go to NittanyGameWeek.com. Send us your picks.
Yeah, that's what you're looking at right now. Video of the 2022 Happy Valley Cruise. You want to be part of the 2023 cruise because you get to go places like that and because Tom Bradley is going to be on that cruise also. All right, don't miss our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com, which includes these local businesses. Our goal is to build a team in the community that supports the show and that you, in turn, support as a viewer to keep the hometown strong. Make sure to check out all the businesses that are already on board. And of course, there is much more at NittanyGameWeek.com. You can catch all of our shows and interviews along with our web content. Home opener at Beaver Stadium, always a special day. Enjoy every minute of it. We finish with some Pride pics. Don't forget to show us your spirit and submit those Penn State photos to us online. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.